Yeah, thank you guys all for coming. Excited to be here. I love doing the in-person media day. Really excited about our team this year. I think especially at this level and in the sport of basketball, experience is everything. And the previous year, we had lost 6 of our top 7 returners, returning only Taylor Higginbotham, and I thought that was a big challenge for her to try to lead this team kind of in the next generation of what will be Western Illinois women's basketball. We started off really poorly in our non-conference, and honestly, I thought it was probably the most improved team that we've had since I've been here as a coach. To finish middle in the pack of a good Summit League that year, I thought we really improved. So now I'm really excited that it's amazing you go from being really inexperienced to all of a sudden being experienced. I'm a big George Strait fan. He's got a song called Troubadour. He's a young troubadour, and then he's an old troubadour. And I don't even know what troubadour means, but it's the same thing with our team. 1 year we went from being really inexperienced, and now those kids, they weren't just playing 5, 8 minutes, they were playing 25 minutes. They were playing through their mistakes. And now I feel like, especially in that top 6, we're really experienced kids like Grace Gilmore, Danny Nichols, Annabelle Grettinger, and Olivia Kaufman. They all really came into their own. And then we've added some important pieces. The big one is Evan Zars. We were so undersized last year. Brought in a 6'2" transfer from St. Louis University that will be eligible this year that will really give us more of a presence at the basket. And then Carla Flores played on the national team for Spain and had a lot of success there. So she'll bring some of that international experience to our team. And then we've got some depth behind those kids. I told our players the thing that keeps me up at night is trying to figure out who's going to get playing time. So I think that's a good problem to have. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a great year in the league. It's the top of the league is as good as it's ever been, especially with the 2 South Dakota teams. I think Denver's right there in that mix. And I think there's 2 or 3 other teams, us, Oral Roberts, probably a couple more that are going to try to play their way into that top tier. So it should be a fun year.
Coach, you mentioned last year, and it's a roller. Once you guys got into Summit League play, it really became a roller coaster. Kind of rough there. You had a nice winning streak, and the end of the season, pretty rough.
Yeah.
You mentioned the experience. Is that basically the thing? Like, you took your lumps last year, and it's going to happen. And this year, that's what is really building this team. That's what's really. Do you feel that's really what is molding the team this year?
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you, this has been our best preseason I've had since I've been here. In fact, our preseason has gone so well, we extended it out about a week and a half and aren't starting practice till Tuesday. So that kind of shows that experience. But we did take our lumps. The funny thing about last year is I thought we were playing good. We played good basketball at the end of the year. I think we finished at home against ORU, at Denver, and then at South Dakota State. And I thought if we won 2 of those, we would probably finish third and make the WNIT. And we played tremendous against Oral Roberts at home, and they just played better. I think they had 15 threes. They were just playing inspired. So, and then same thing at Denver. I thought we played really well at Denver, gave ourselves a chance to win. They had a couple big shots and won the game. And I won't talk about the South Dakota State game at their place. But, I felt like we still played pretty good basketball towards the end of the year and kind of kept that momentum. But I do think our players felt like, okay, that was the year where we're gonna take our lumps, we're gonna kind of build, and hopefully it'll pay off this year.
Olivia Kaufman, you mentioned Taylor graduating. Now, Olivia's kind of that one, she had a really good year for you last year. She's kind of that senior, that rock that you're really leaning on, on the court and off the court this year to be the one that you lean on to weather the storms on the court and such.
Absolutely, and she is a phenomenal leader. Different than a lot of leaders I've had. She's a little bit more quiet, but she just really has a great head on her shoulders, and it is someone that I think our players come to. And I think we have a good leadership core. We have 4 seniors. Annabelle Grettinger is also a good leader. She's kind of seen all the good, the bad. She's been around for a while, even starting at SDSU. And then we have 2 other seniors, Avery Ham and Kira Washington, who both I think will have a chance to play and both kind of bring something to the table leadership-wise. But I think at the end of the day, especially because when you combine her leadership with her basketball, Olivia is going to be our go-to kid. And she had some big games. When we beat Illinois, we beat Stanford. She came in and played really well. And then last year, again, started off bad and then came into her own. And I think she'll pick up right where she left off, probably shoot the ball a little bit more, especially from the three-point line, and maybe be a little bit more of that Emily Clemens-type playmaker where she's making a lot more kick-out threes, a lot more dump passes. I think we'll see her assists increase. I think her scoring will increase and her assists will increase.
You mentioned Emily Clemens. We'll go to the other Muscatine girl, Annabelle Grettinger. How much do you really need her to take a step forward this year? You mentioned her as a senior, but on the court too, to be that number two next to Olivia. Because if teams keep keen on her, you need that number two. Is she kind of that number two you're kind of looking at?
She's kind of like the quiet, assassin. I mean, she's the one that I think that just because of the way she plays, maybe she's not going to put up crazy scoring numbers. She's a pass-first kid, probably one of the best passers I've ever coached, but can really finish at the basket too. So I think you're right. I think teams are going to focus on Olivia Kaufman. Evan Zars will probably get a lot of attention, and I think kids like Annabelle, Grace, and Danny are going to be the ones that hopefully can fill that void if teams are trying to take Olivia and Evan's scoring away.
Coach, you mentioned losing some close games at the end of the year last year. What's going to be the key to turning those close games into wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that height and physicality. I mean, that's what we were really missing last year, and it's kind of a combination of missing out on a few kids, recruiting. I've got a theory. We had those 2 years that were so good, and it allowed us to get in the mix with some better post players for recruiting. Well, now you're in the mix with those kids, and now you're losing them to BCS programs, instead of competing with more peers. So we probably came in, top 3 on 4 or 5 really good bigs and didn't get any of them. So we were kind of piecing together. And at the end of a game, in a close game, I think, you got to get that key rebound, or you have to get that physical stop. And I think this year, really adding Evan will help, because not only do you have her 6'2", she's athletic, she's a great shot blocker. Reminds me a little bit of Shervin, which is a huge compliment to Evan, I think. But now that makes Danny Nichols our second tallest kid on the floor, and Grace Gilmore our third most physical kid on the floor. And you have Carla Flores, she's a really physical guard too. So I think that physicality will be hopefully the difference when it comes down to close games. And I think we'll shoot it a little better. I thought last year was probably the worst we've shot it. And I think, again, part of that was kind of trying to piece together our lineups. But I think we'll shoot it better. And at the end of the game, that's what you need. You need a stop and a rebound. You need to make a shot or two. And I think this year we have the kids that can do that.
Coach, just talk about some of the players you think that may surprise people this season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we've got this tier of kids that there's literally 5 or 6 of them, I think, for 2 or 3 spots, and they could all step up and be, really good role players. I think there's so many kids. I think Sam Pryor is one who was really playing well, got injured. That was out for a year. That makes a huge step back, and now has came in and played really well at practice. I mentioned Kira and Avery as seniors. I think, with the junior college transfers, I think it takes them a year to get used to our system. I think either one of those kids or both could have really good years. Elizabeth Lutz is a kid that came in. I mean, I think she scored 30-something against South Dakota State, had a big game against Drake, has played well in big games. She can come in. Jinda Giddinger, Mackenzie Rogers. I mean, I just feel like we've got a big group of sophomores, especially in there, that could come in and really make an impact. So that, I think, will be hard to tell. And I don't think we'll know that until probably conference play comes around, because we'll probably be working through some things with that kind of 6 to 9 kid there.
Coach, how much does this team really remind you of the one from about, not 2 years ago, but 3 years ago? 'Cause, you guys go 8-8 in the conference 4 years ago. You go 13-3 the next year. It's a pretty big jump. A lot of people are surprised. Do you see a lot of that, this team and that team, a team that has a bunch of pieces that just people haven't seen yet?
I do, and that's an awfully tough comparison. I mean,
yeah,
that team was special, and
the
other thing about that, when you look at basketball, I mean, that team was phenomenal. What they achieved was, a dream come true. You also had Macy Miller having a season-ending injury that year. South Dakota was rebuilding a little bit that year. So I think that talent-wise and ability, this team does remind me a lot of that team, especially now. I thought Olivia Braun was such a big piece for us down there in our matchup zone protecting the basket. So to have a player like that, Emily Clemens, Olivia Kaufman, different players but have some similarities. So I think there is some comparison there, and I think we could be close to, if not that talented. I think our competition on our schedule, both non-conference and conference, is a lot tougher. And so I think, that's a scary thing as a coach. We may be just as good and win 15 games, as we were that second year when we won 20-something. Anything else from the peanut gallery? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.